ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. ओम ओम नारायण नारायण. In Sugama, today we shall do Sugama. So we were discussing the last point. In the last point, 71st passage, not passage, one long passage, okay, let us say. In that thing regarding avidya, a few doubts about avidya. Avidyam prati vividha shankaha tat pariharascha. First doubt was over, second was over, now there is a third one. Okay, regarding avidya, one was first doubt, second, then the second, ಯಾವುದು ಬರೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಪೆನ್ನುಗಳೇ ಬರೆಯಲ್ಲ. ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಹಾಳಾಗ್ತಾ ಇವೆ. ಈ ಪೆನ್ನುಗಳಿಂದ ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳೇ ಹಾಳಾಗ್ತವೆ. ಏನು ಮಾರ್ಕಿಂಗೇ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. There are hundreds and hundreds of pens. All of them are marketing. Marketing only to cheat you, not for writing. They make money and they'll become great man. None of them write. See. Book is spoiled 3 times. That's all. Even now it won't write. Where will you go? I tried 2 pens. Now this is the 3rd pen. All pens will do the same thing. Even it does the same. I think 3 times book is spoiled. Shall I spoil the 4th time? I don't know. Okay. So we were discussing a point. It is a very interesting point. Kinkurteyam avidya. Since there is a long gap, I repeat. What is the cause of avidya? Cause means how did avidya come about? Okay. How did avidya means how did I become ignorant? This is the question most of the people ask. I think almost all of the people. How did I become ignorant? So the very question assumes that you are not ignorant and you became ignorant at some time later. So becoming ignorant is an event in time. And that event occurred due to some reason this happened. Okay? Isn't it? So even to put a question, there is an assumption behind it. Keeping that assumption, so this question springs from that assumption, or the question implies that assumption. When the very assumption is wrong, your question has no standing. But they expect that you must answer. Why this ignorance? Why this ignorance has come? If ignorance had not come, all these problems would not have been there. They act very smart. Because our smartness, we think that we can solve the problem. It is our smartness that is the problem. In the sense, the problem is so simple that our smartness is not able to recognize it. Our smartness is unable to handle it because the problem is very simple. Somebody told me somewhere, one fellow who learnt karate, and he came to fight with you. He took a position of a karate and like that, ha, hoo, and then he screamed. He expected the other man to come and attack. I shall show you that I'm an expert. That fellow doesn't know karate. He came closer to him and just like, since he has not taken a position like this person who knew karate, he also did not attack him because he's not taking a position. So he just came as a simple man, close to him, and then gave a slap at him and then went away. The fellow, knowing karate, fell down, and that fellow slapped him and went out. Then he was shocked, my God, I'm being such an expert in karate. I got a beating from a person who doesn't know karate. How did it happen? Because that fellow doesn't know karate, therefore he simply acted like an ordinary human being. And you expecting him to know karate and take a position and all that, then only I will attack and all. That fellow doesn't know. It's simple things happen. Just somebody told, I don't know whether it really happened or not. We leave it. The idea is that the problem is much simpler. Problem is a matter of experience. Directly face the experience. The question is coming from your intellect. Intellect imagines, thinks, questions, argues. But the problem is the root of all this questioning, arguing, the very questioning, arguing falls within a certain state, certain relationships, cause and effect relationship. But the avidya is the very cause of this cause and effect relationship. In the wake of avidya, you find this cause and effect relationship. Therefore, adhyasam puraskritya sarve pramana prameya vyavaharaha. So, you can't put avidya into a relationship of our intellect. Intellect follows certain pattern. And this only proves that in the world, everything doesn't follow this pattern of intellect. There are certain things which are beyond our intellect. They are at the root of our intellect. So if you use intellect as a standard instrument, as a standard weapon, and everything should fit into my intellect alone, you fail to do that. Therefore, let us see the question. Kim kruteyam avidya. What is the cause of avidya? Now, he makes few alternatives. The questioner makes few alternatives. Nahi karanantaram asti. Yena swapnadivad agantuki syad avidya shuddha brahma samsargini. Now, do we have any cause? He says no. We don't find any cause. Due to which avidya could be stated as something, an incidental. Incidental means a product. So, if there were a cause to it, then we could say Adhyasa was a product of it. But we don't find a cause outside Adhyasa. The very relationship of cause and effect is within avidya, within Adhyasa. Within Adhyasa alone we see the cause and effect. You can't look for a cause of the very Adhyasa, which itself within the very Adhyasa, when within the Adhyasa obtains all cause and effect, all the cause and effect falls within Adhyasa, you can't still look for a cause to the Adhyasa. So that doesn't work. Second thing is Shuddha Brahma Samsargini, and such an Adhyasa. How can such an avidya, such what are the causal avidya? Avidya which is a cause of it, which is an imagined, it is not true. It is again connected to Brahman. It doesn't work. Karanantar abhyapagamecha dvaitavada prasangaha. If you accept that there was such a cause outside avidya, Why? For what reason? Due to what reason? Owing to what reason you come into avidya? If there is a factor outside avidya, avidya means a misunderstanding, a false thing. If there is some real factor due to which you come to have avidya, then that real factor becomes a reality. Then the factor becomes a reality. If that factor is the cause of avidya, that factor becomes a reality, then Brahman is one reality, and this factor which causes avidya is another reality. There will be two. There is a Dvaitavada prasanga. There would be Dvaitam. So this hunting for cause is meaningless, and it is against experience, against logic, so it doesn't work. That means what goes against all these things shows that your assumption is wrong. Your question assuming a cause of it is wrong. Okay, next. Naisargikim tu avidyam brahmanasya kathamasya prahanam upabhadyate. Or, Purvapakshi says, okay, if you don't look for a cause, or if you accept that there is a cause, that would make it real, and there would be Dvaitam, and once Dvaitam is there, then Advaitam can't be attained. Dvaitam would remain real. Okay, leave that, then make alternatively. There is no cause for avidya. Avidya itself is beginningless by its very nature. Then if avidya itself is Naisargika means it is not a product, but it is natural. If it is natural, then how will you remove it? What is natural can't be removed. Two ways. One is it produced or is it natural? If it is produced, then what is it produced from? The cause of it would become real. So that doesn't work, we drop it. Then let us take avidya natural. If it is natural, how can you remove? Again the same problem. See, we are trying to categorize the avidya into various ways. Everything has a problem. If you say Adhyasa is a product, is a problem. If it is natural, also is a problem. If it is natural, then how will it go away? What is natural won't go away. Natural is natural. What is unnatural alone can be removed. What is natural, how can you remove? If it is what is unnatural, then what is the reason for it? How did it come about? If it is unnatural, then due to some factor, due to some reason it comes. That reason becomes a reality. To avoid this problem, let us take it natural. If you take natural, then it won't go. Either way, it is a problem. Now come on, answer. This is the question. So, katham prahanam upapadyate nahi naisargikyaha samuchittihi avakalpate. I think, I don't know, long before I must have told, but since there is a long gap, I am repeating. I think we should finish within 2 to 3 days. We'll finish. I think within 1 week we'll finish it, because there is only 2 pages are left out. Due to some reason, it is getting dragged. I should have finished long before and started Mula Vidya Nirasa. Mula Vidya Nirasa is a beautiful book, and we'll start that. It's an excellent. Nahi Naisarg Mula Vidya Nirasa in English only. Okay. If I speak in Kannada again, if I speak in English, some of the Indians understand, but if I speak in English, not many Indians, even Indians can't understand. We have become ultimately dependent on English only. Even Indians have become dependent on English. There is no way. Okay. Now, nahi naisargikyaha samuchittihi avakalpate. Avidya prahanischa kidrish. Is a third point. Two alternative. One is how did this avidya come about? Is it due to some factor? Is it natural? If it is due to some factor, it will become real. So it won't go away. If it is natural, then also it cannot be removed. Okay, 2 points. 2 points are still questions only, they have to be answered. Then the third question again, third part of the question is, supposing you remove. First thing is, it's not possible to remove. Suppose you remove it. How are you going to remove? What is the very nature of its removal? This is also very interesting. What is the nature of its removal? Do you really break it into pieces? or burn it out. If you burn out, it reduces into ash. Ash remains. Okay? If you burn it, if you kill it, dead body remains. If you burn it, ash remains. Anything you do, it will be reduced into some product. Some product it will be there. Then how will you destroy? Tell us. Then that very destruction will produce another product. Then how will you remove the avidya? Okay. So therefore, what is the very nature of its removal? Avidya prahanischa kidrushi. Kim avidya rupinneva kim va vilakshana. This is good question. Yeah. If you remove avidya, is that removal, how does it take place? Is the removal within avidya or outside avidya? Is removal, does removal fall within the realm of avidya? Or if it falls, now he makes two alternatives and again analyzes. First he makes two alternatives and then shows how each of the alternative is a problem. Ultimately, removal itself is a problem. Okay. So, all this is Purvapakshi, not answer. Vedanti answers later. In fact, we touched the answer. Now, kim naisargiki avidya prahanischa kidrushi. Kim avidya rupinneva kim va vilakshana. Is it of the same nature? Is it of the nature of avidya only, or is it outside avidya, non-avidya? Yadi avidya rupinneva natarhi tasyaha prahanihi. If after removing avidya you remain in avidya only, that means removal is another state of avidya, a modified state of avidya. If removal of ignorance is another state of avidya, that means avidya is not removed and you continue to be in avidya only. If removal of avidya is another state of avidya only, that means avidya is not removed, you continue to be in avidya. So it has no meaning. Then outside avidya is not connected with avidya at all. How do you remove? Outside avidya means what? Avidya itself is an assumption. Avidya is an assumption, is a wrong notion. If it is outside avidya means it is not an assumption, it is not a wrong notion, it becomes a reality. Either way you are caught. Either way you are caught. Therefore, vilakshana chet tasyaha paramartatva prasangah siddhanta hanihi. If it is non-avidya, if it is outside avidya, if it is within avidya, after removing avidya you continue to be in avidya, then you are in trouble. Because avidya is not gone. If you say outside avidya, avidya means assumption, wrong notion. If the very removal is outside avidya, that means a real event. It is a real event. It is not an assumption. It is a real happening. Is it a happening within avidya or is it an event outside avidya? If it is an event outside avidya, then it becomes a real event. Removal is an event. That is an outside avidya. How do you explain? So these are the two vikalpas. 2 points and 2 vikalpas. Each point has got 2 alternatives. 2 points having 2 vikalpas, that means 4. To this, what Swamiji answers, let us see. Tadapyetenaiva pratyuktam bhavati. All these alternatives you have made, argued in defense of them. Either way it is a problem. All these questions don't arise because there is an assumption, a wrong assumptions on your part. The very question comes out of an assumption. When we dismiss the very assumption, your question falls flat. What is that? Avidya drishyaiva avidya ityabhyapagama. This is the most important answer. Avidya itself is not any factor, is not an important fact. The thought of avidya is from the standpoint of avidya only. Avidya is talked about from the standpoint of avidya, really it doesn't exist. That is idea. The very avidya itself is from the standpoint of avidya. When you put question, you take avidya is really there and then you start putting question. How it has come, where it has come, how will it go? First thing is you assume that it is there and then how will it go and all those things. See, this is the problem. Avidya means an assumption. Assumption itself is an assumption. Okay? Avidya itself is an assumption. When it is an assumption, it means it is not there in reality. That's all. It is not there in reality. Avidya itself is not there in reality. Now you put a question, thinking that avidya is really there and then how did it come about and how will you remove it? Why? Why do you think of it coming? Why do you think of its? Why do you think and talk about its coming as if it has really come? Now you talk of removing as if you have to really remove. So in the questioner's Purvapakshi's assumption, he thinks that it has really come. Now you have to really remove. When you mistake the rope for snake, he says that how did the snake come about? How am I to drive it out? How did the snake come about inside my room? That too in the first floor. How did it come out? Because there is no way to come in. All the doors are closed. How did it come about? How did it come in? Then how to drive it out? In two things, he is assuming that it has really come and now it has to be driven out. So the answer, Vedantin answers, your very assumption is wrong. You think that it is there, your thought that it is there, it is really there. Therefore, you are extending your conception. First, you think that it is really there as a snake. By thinking that it is a real snake, that very sense of reality you are extending. How did it come about? How to drive it out? Both your extensions are wrong. Because how did it come about this? How am I to drive it out? This second point, both of them fall within your thinking that it is really there. Snake is really there. By assuming that snake is really there, you extend and put all these questions. We knock out the very basis of your question. When it is not there, where is the question of coming and removing it? You understand that snake has never been there. Your mind is assuming. That's all. You think that it is there. You question that very assumption. That the snake is there. You question that. Is it there first? When you question it, the snake itself is not there. Now where is the question of how did it come about, how to drive out? Gone. Once you question it, it is not there, over. Therefore, that means the very avidya itself is an assumption. When we say it is an assumption, you take it as another event. That's why all these questions arise. The questions arise because the human mind takes it to be real. That very sense of reality we are questioning. So real Vedanta, real answer is question. The mind is taking it for granted and questioning. We are asking you to question that which you have taken for granted. He says, he takes it for granted and further questions it. So the question is coming from assuming that it is really there. Snake is there, come on, you answer this first. He says, how did the snake come from? You answer this first. Or how are you to remove it? And he says, there is no snake. He says, you are evading the question. You are not answering the question. Answer. How did the snake has come? How did the snake come from? How did the snake come? How are you going to drive it out? Come on, tell me. He says, there is no snake. You are escaping. You are not answering. See how he questions. Questioner is entrapping himself. He is trapping himself. He is not listening. Even the given answer, he is not listening. Your mind is assuming and then extending. You are assuming that it is really there, and the assumption alone, you are spreading it all over. All your questions are only coming from the same assumption. So all your questions are answered in one thing. You question your basis of your question. Is it there first? Yes. Why do you assume? Why do you think that it is there? It is not there. Then it's over. All your questions are answered in that one point. All your questions are answered. Therefore, avidya drishtya iva avidya abhyupagama. Avidya is assumed only from the standpoint of assumption. That means taking your assumption for granted, you are continuing. Okay. Next. Tat prahanescha anavidyakaya kaschachit anabhyupagama. Therefore, and its removal also, we don't take it that removal is something a real event. Assuming, see, your mind assumes that it is there. So, assuming that it is there, we try to show you how it is not there. So, sapeksham. Sapeksham means assuming that it is there, we are answering how it is not there. That's all. We are only showing you that you have assumed wrongly. Don't assume, the very assumption is wrong. Therefore, its removal also, keeping that it is, assuming that it is there, your answer is given. So the removal is only dependent upon your, dependent means assuming your assumption, assuming your avidya, it's removal. Otherwise, removal is not a real event. We are not really removing. There is no real removal because it really doesn't exist. It's like yadrisho hi yakshaha tadrisho balihi. This is a very traditional Sanskrit tradition uses this expression, yadrisho yakshaha tadrisho balihi. We can't answer exactly. Yaksha and Bali, all that is a theological things, our religious things. There is a yaksha, and yaksha, according to as the yaksha, so you give the Bali, and all that, we leave them. So we just say, according to your assumption, the answer is. If it were the really there, then the real answer is required. The problem itself is an assumed one, solution itself is removing your assumption, that's all. Therefore, it is something like, assuming avidya, we talk of its removal. Therefore, neither from the standpoint, from that standpoint, neither there is really avidya in Brahman nor a real removal. In real Brahma, there is neither really avidya nor there is a real removal. Brahma is always free from avidya, and avidya never existed. Okay, the destruction of avidya is neither real as an entity in itself, nor it is an event within avidya. So removal of avidya is neither an event within avidya, nor it is unrelated to avidya independently, a removal as a factor. Removal itself is not a fact, because there is nothing to. So Brahman is not a product of removal of avidya. See, Advaita Brahman is not a result of removal of avidya. That means it is not an event within avidya, nor it is an independent of avidya. So just like sun and day. Day and nights are assumed upon the sun. Actually, sun himself has neither night nor day. You assume that there is a night, and after the removal of night, following the night, day occurs. To whom? For the sun. After, as a result of removing the night, day occurs. Day occurs to the sun. Day is something that occurs to the sun as a result of removing the night. Now, from the standpoint of sun, was there a night that needs to be removed? Was there a night, was there a darkness in the light, which on removal of which sun got the light? sun got the light not as a removal of darkness. Night is assumed and its removal is also assumed. But actually in the sun, neither night nor removal. Both of them from the outside alone. From the standpoint of the earth, we assume the night. And then later you remove the night and then the day comes. But does day come to the sun? You ask the sun. I think I have told this example before once again because it's very important to understand it. People were talking, oh, sun has come. Sun comes during day. Daytime he comes. See, sun has come. That's why it is a daytime. Sun is asking. Sun listened. People are discussing like that. Sun listened to it. And he asked, hey, you said something that sun has come during day and all that. What is day? What is day? You said during day sun comes, I come and all that. What is day? And then these people say, hey, come on, what are you talking? Day, okay, you answer. I want to learn. Okay, day is that when sun is present. Sun has not understood. Day is that when sun is present. Day is the time when sun is present. But when am I not present? How can you answer? For the sun, he is always present. So day, there is no such thing called day. The day of sun, day for the sun is like assume the night and remove it. You assume the day as a result of removing the night. But night itself is assumed. Then its removal also assumed. Exactly. Avidya is assumed. And its removal is also assumed. For whom? For myself. That means I am free from both. Atmajnanam is like this. Atmajnanam is not a result of removing something. You are already free. You only pointed out that you are always free. That you were ignorant and now ignorance is removed. Both are assumptions only. Actually, you are free. Just as day is assumed upon the sun. Similarly, Jnanam is like a day for the sun. Brahma Jnanam is like a day for the sun. Day for the sun is an assumed. Sun's reality, sun is ever existent. Sun is ever existent. Ever existent sun is assumed, presented as a day. For what? In order to show the contrast to the night, which itself is assumed upon it. Otherwise, a day and night don't exist for the sun. Similarly, ignorance and its removal both don't mean anything to me, my real consciousness. Or another example is about your waking time. See, when you are awake, after sleeping, when you wake up, you sleep for a while during night and morning you wake up. When you wake up, how do you feel? Do you feel that this waking state is natural to you? Or do you feel it is a product of removing your night, removing your sleep? I was in sleep. As a result of removing that sleep, I have come to this waking. Waking is a product of some previous state. Do you feel waking is a product, is a resultant of something, or waking is your natural to you? Do you feel waking state is a natural to you, or is it a result of removal of something? You are coming from a previous state. You don't see waking as a state. I'm from a common man standpoint. In Avastatraya Viveka, in Vedanta, we call waking as a state. That's a different. We are talking from a common man standpoint. From a common man standpoint, sleep is unnatural to you because waking is you. You are not a result of something because you are you. When you are wake up, you feel that you are natural. Sleep alone is unnatural. You don't say that I was in sleep state and now I came to the waking state, which is a result of my sleep. Waking is not a resultant state. It is natural to you. Similarly, removal of avidya is natural to you. It is not a removal of something. Only earlier the darkness was assumed, now the assumption is questioned. Assumption is understood to be wrong, and you are you. Okay, you are just you. Similarly, removal of avidya is Assuming the avidya, you talk of removal. Otherwise, there is no real removal. Like in deep sleep, the waking world is not, or you take directly, deep sleep is you. That is Brahman. I am non-dual deep sleep. So, in the deep sleep state, waking is not there. Waking is not there means, was waking existing before, now you have to remove it. The very waking's assumption and its removal both don't exist for the deep sleep, because deep sleep is natural. When you understand deep sleep is natural to you, you have not come to deep sleep after removing something, because there is nothing to remove. Generally, we think that we were in waking state. After removing waking state, I have come to deep sleep. That means deep sleep is a state, is an arrived state. Deep sleep is an arrived state. Okay. But in fact, the reality is deep sleep is not an arrived state. Okay. You have not come from elsewhere to deep sleep, because there is no, why? How can you say that you have not come from elsewhere? Because deep sleep, there is nothing outside deep sleep. Deep sleep is all pervasive. You have never been outside. If you are outside, you could say, from that place I have come here. You have never been outside. You are you. You are always you. So you have neither been away from you, nor you have come back to you. If you assume that you have gone away, and again your assumption is corrected that you have never gone away, you are always with you. Oh, yes, now I come back, now I come. Coming back? Yes, I was away from myself, now I have come back. You thought that you are away from yourself. Now you, assuming that away, now you understand that you have come back. There is no going away from you nor coming back to yourself. Both are assumptions. You are you. You have been you. This non-duality means that you have been the truth. Neither you have gone away nor you come back, because you have never moved away from you. Deep sleep is you. You are synonymous to deep sleep. So you don't go into deep sleep. Do you ever go into deep sleep? If you think that you go to deep sleep and come back, then it is only a state. It becomes either avyakta or nirvikalpa samadhi. Nirvikalpa samadhi is a state you attain. Like a deep sleep is a state you attain. If you take deep sleep as a state or an avyakta, or you take as a nirvikalpa samadhi, you think that from the waking state you left the world and came to the state. But if you understand deep sleep is yourself, you have not come to yourself, because you have not gone away from yourself. So the same deep sleep can be taken two ways. One is as a state, or another is as a nirvikalpa samadhi. Third is as a turiya, directly your Atma Swarupam only. You understand Sushupti as yourself. When it is myself, I have not gone away from myself, nor I come back to myself. I am myself. Oh, I only wrongly thought that I have gone away. That wrong thought is a wrong. So I have been myself. I have been before and now and then later also. Always I have been deep sleep only. I have been myself, non-dual myself, non-dual self. This understanding. By first thing is you correct that you have moved away from your Brahmatvam. You have moved away from your non-duality. You have gone away from non-duality. This gone away is a wrong assumption. Correct the wrong assumption. How? In the light of your ever existing reality. In deep sleep or nirvikalpa samadhi. Deep sleep means avyakta. Either avyakta, when you take deep sleep, either avyakta or nirvikalpa samadhi, you always think that you go away, you go from another state. When you think that you go from another state, they are still states only. Nirvikalpa is a state, Sushupti is a state. You have not come from elsewhere. This is me all the time. So when you understand Sushupti is an eternal you, not a state you arrive at. Neither you left it nor you arrive at it. Then it is not a state. It is an eternal you. When I understand Sushupti is an eternal me, neither I have come from it, nor I go back to it. You can never go away, nor you need to come back. It is just you all the time. It is natural me. In this understanding, okay, Sushupti is Turiya, that is Brahmatvam. You have neither come nor gone. Generally, we take Sushupti means we are going to Sushupti. When you say that you have gone to Sushupti and come back, that means you standing as a waker talking. You standing as a waker talking of going and coming back. Even Nirvikalpa Samadhi says that I have given up my individuality and come to Nirvikalpa. But in Jnanam, the difference between Nirvikalpa Samadhi and Jnanam is you have not given up and coming back. You have been always this. You give up your individuality and go to Sushupti, then that is a Nirvikalpa or that is Avyakta. You give up the waking state and go to Sushupti, that is a Nirvikalpa. But Jnanam means I have not come from elsewhere. I have not come to myself by giving up something. I have been this only. This is Jnanam. See the difference. The same Sushupti has to be understood in three levels. One is Avyakta, another is Nirvikalpa Samadhi, third is Turiyam, that is Brahma Jnanam, that is Brahmatvam. The same Sushupti, from your way of understanding, the same Sushupti appears as a three. From the waking, you go and come back. In Nirvikala Samadhi also similar to that only. Your mind, you suspend the mind and you say that, not suspending the mind. In Nirvikalpa Samadhi, mind remains. Only mind assuming thoughts stops. Okay? Mind assuming the thoughts. Wavy nature stops, but mind remains. Mind's fluctuations stop. Yoga's Chitta Vritti Nirodha means Chitta is mind, Vritti means fluctuations. Fluctuations are suppressed, but Chitta is not removed. Not Nirvikalpa Samadhi and Jnanam. In Nirvikalpa Samadhi, fluctuations of Chitta. Fluctuation means the wavy nature of the water. The wavy nature is stopped when the wind is not blowing. Water remains steady, that's all. Mind remaining steady without assuming ripples, without assuming various thoughts is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi. But you are not free from mind. Only mind is free from fluctuations. But you are not free from the mind. That is Nirvikalpa Samadhi, note it. They say Nirvikalpa, free from fluctuations, not free from mind. Free from fluctuations, not free from mind, note it. But the mind, whether with fluctuations, without fluctuations, the mind itself is kalpitam adhyasta. If you understand this, that is jnanam. Mind without fluctuation is avyakta or nirvikalpa. Then when there are the fluctuations, the world is. Without fluctuations is a nirvikalpa samadhi. But both are states of mind only. But in Brahmajnanam, the very mind is kalpitam, adhyastam. It is a wrong notion. It is assumed. It is assumed within consciousness. Consciousness itself is neither. It is neither a fluctuation state nor a state where fluctuations recede. All the fluctuations stop. Fluctuations are suppressed. Vritti nirodha. You are stopping the fluctuations. Now you transcend the very mind with fluctuations, without fluctuations. Transcending means you understand mind itself doesn't exist. It is a false assumption. It doesn't exist in the consciousness. It is already merged into consciousness. It doesn't exist apart from consciousness. Consciousness is an eternal entity. So the consciousness or Sakshi is an eternally existing. With reference to that eternity, world doesn't have an existent apart from it. The mind doesn't have an existent apart from consciousness. Okay. So he says, Yadrisho hi yakshaha tadrisho balihi vastutastu navidya tat prahani prayuktaha kaschidapi vishesho asti advitiya atmanaha. Atma doesn't have a vishesha. There is nothing. Vishesha means, how to say that? Ignorance, ignorance is a state and removal a state. There are no two states Atma is not undergoing. That means ignorance and its removal both don't make any difference to Atma. They are immaterial to Atma. Atma is Atma. Neither there was a state of dark like sun. Sun had neither a night nor a day. Day is not a state in the sun. Day is not a state in the sun because he didn't have a state of night. There was neither a state of night nor followed by a state of day. These two states do not exist for sun. Sun has neither a state of night nor a state of day. They are not two states because they don't exist for him. If they really existed, then sun would go through two. He would be in one state for some time and in another state at another time. He doesn't have states. Therefore, Brahman doesn't have states. Avidya, one state, and going out of avidya, removing avidya is another state. There are no two states for Brahman. Okay? Brahman has no two states. That's why there is no Vishesha. Doesn't make any difference. That means there are no two states for Brahman. Brahman is always consciousness. Therefore, vastutastu, in fact, na avidya tat prahani prayuktaha. Kaschidapi vishesho asti advitiya atmanaha tayorapi atmaika svabhavatvat. Because avidya is also consciousness, its removal is also consciousness. Just like the night is also sun, day is also sun. From the standpoint of the sun, night is myself, day is myself. Both are myself. That means I can't experience night and day. Both are myself. You are only imagining two things in me. You are imagining night in me and day in me. You are imagining deep sleep in me. You are imagining waking state in me. Waking state, deep sleep state, two states are imaginations in me, which is pure consciousness. In the consciousness, these are not the two states. I don't undergo these two states one after the other, or one exclusive to the other. Okay? Deep sleep and waking are not exclusive to one another. One doesn't, if one excludes the other, then they are the states. If one excludes the other, they are the states. Samadhi avastha, vyuttana avastha. Nirvikalpa samadhi is a state because Nirvikalpa samadhi excludes the savikalpa. Savikalpa means thoughts. A state of thought, state of thoughtlessness. They exclude each other. Thought and thoughtless. Okay? Thought is a state of the worldly life, worldly state. Thought is a state of mind. Thoughtlessness is another state of mind. They exclude each other. When you have a thought, you are not nirvikalpa. When you are thoughtless, you don't have a thought. So they exclude each other. That means when one thought and thoughtlessness, they exclude each other, means they are two. They are not one. But in Brahma Chaitanyam, the pure consciousness, thought and thoughtlessness, they are not contrasting. They both simultaneously exist in Atma. Thought is also consciousness, thoughtlessness is also consciousness. In the consciousness, there are no two states, thought and thoughtless. They don't make any difference. They are only imagined, they are only imposed onto. Atma is thought, Atma is thoughtlessness. Atma is waking state, Atma is deep state. So to the Atma, there are no two states. See, this is the beauty. Atma itself is Chaitanyam, consciousness itself has no states. So a state of mind, state of thought and state of thoughtlessness. These two states, the states are mutually exclusive. But both exist simultaneously in Brahman. See, both simultaneously. Therefore, they can't exclude each other. They are simultaneously Brahman. Waking and deep sleep, both are simultaneously you. You are waking, you are deep sleep. Both simultaneously you are. That means they don't exist for you, because they are exclusive to each other. That means they don't exist for you. Both of them, you swallow them, and you stand as pure consciousness. When, there is no question of when. It is eternal you, ever existing you. Okay. Therefore, to this he gives one more quotation. Brahadaranyaka Vakyam. Avidyavato avidya nivritya vrittikruto vishesha atmanasyaditi chenna. In Brahadaranyaka Bhashya, he puts a similar question. Purvapakshi asks there. Then you say that Purvapakshi says like that. That means there is a state of avidya. After removal avidya, you go into another state. You enter into a state of knowledge. First you were in a state of knowledge, and later you enter into another state. You go into another state of knowledge. No. Siddhanti says no. We don't have two states. Earlier I was in darkness and now I came to light. No. Sun doesn't feel. Earlier I was sleeping, now I came into waking. No. Sleep and waking are not two. Sleep doesn't exist for me, therefore I am always waking. Isn't it? Waking is me, is not a state. Waking is not a state following the sleep state, because sleep never existed. Sleep is not my state, because it doesn't exist for me, and I am waking. I am always waking. Okay. Therefore, avidyavato avidya nivritya nivrittikruto vishesha atmanasyaditi chenna avidya kalpana vishayatva rajjushara shuktika gagananam sarpodaka rajatamalinatva adivat adoshaha ityavochama. Therefore, this ajnana state, they are not state. You are eternally existing. So you are eternally free from vidya. Both are imposed on you, otherwise you yourself are free from both. So this is what in Brahadaranyaka Bhashya openly Bhashyakara says. So from the standpoint of rope, neither there was a snake nor there is a removal of snake. Does rope know the difference between presence of snake and removal of snake? The rope doesn't experience a state of snake and removal of snake. Neither states. It is always rope by itself. Similarly, timira drishtivat, a state of darkness and state of light. These two, avidya kartrutva, in the sun, a state of night and a state of day. Day and night don't exist for the sun. See, atimira drishtivat, avidya kartrutva akartrutva kruto atmana visheshasyaditi chetana. No. Even that day and night also don't exist, because dhyayati iva lelayati ivacha swato avidya kartrutvasya pratisiddhatvat aneka vyapara sannipata janitatvatcha avidya brahmasya. Therefore, avidya brahma is also from the standpoint of avidya. Assuming avidya, we talk of avidya. The very assumption is wrong, then there is no talking of avidya is also wrong. Okay, now this is Brahadaranyaka Bhashya Vakyam. Now Sureshwara Vakyam. Swamiji, after explaining from his standpoint, after giving his own explanation, he quotes Bhashyakara, he quotes Sureshwara. Now the Bhashya says the same thing in a different words. Again Sureshwara says, he quotes Sureshwara. Therefore I am just reading out, because the point is understood, I am just reading out, nothing much. Chaitanya matra rupam tat pratate jnanam atmani. Atma is always Chaitanyam, Nitya Chaitanyam, eternal consciousness. Pratyakutastha nishthatvat tadvadyam karanetarat. Iti nivrittik kevalatmata. Therefore, what you call removal of ignorance is not in another state. The removal of ignorance is just yourself. That means you have not come to a state as a result of removing something. You have not removed, you remained yourself. If you come to your state Brahmatvam as a result of removing something, that means you really suffered a cloth on you, a covering on you. Did you really suffer a covering upon you, so that you can claim that I am released from it? Did you suffer a bondage, so that you can say that now I have become free? Neither you suffered the bondage, therefore you have not become free from it, because you have been always free. Therefore, iti tadevam avidyani vritti tadhetu vishayepi nasti kinchida samanjasam. Second point is over. Then the last point, one more point is there. Another is 1, 2, 3. 3 questions, small questions. Okay, 3 questions. So one small question, I think time is up, we'll answer next class. नच आत्मैकत्व विद्या निरूपणी भवतो अभिमता वाक्यार्थ ज्ञान रूपा चेत ब्रह्मणो शब्दवित्वप्रसंगः. Okay, this vakya, how the sentence gives rise to jnanam, this point is asking, we'll answer next class, maybe tomorrow. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.